Vegan meat companies and plant-based restaurants have become obsessed with meat, but those Veganuary diets and vegan burgers are papering over a terrible trend that is making you miserable and is spoiling your quality of life.
Our mission is to completely replace animals as a food production technology by 2035.
There were at least 12 to 15 of them that entered my premises on the Friday the week before. There was another dozen of them outside with the screaming pig. That's the voices of the screaming pigs dying inside a gas chamber, burning from the inside out. What a toolbox. But we just literally lock shop, shut us down, and just try to run our business. That, however, then provoked her again to come back. So she came back on Saturday night and decided to start it all over again. And I'm sorry to say, Layla, I lost my cool.
I like the fact that he went back to eating meat, but he was a vegan for quite a while.
Well, people go by that label all the time, but if they actually truly hold their ethical view against animal abuse and murder, then they would never turn back on veganism.
In the last few years, the vegan movement has certainly picked up, particularly on social media and also on news outlets as well. It has been widely reported about the effects that meat can have on the environment, particularly with cows releasing CO2 to the environment. So much so that in 2020, the UK was the largest market in Europe for plant-based meat alternatives. The war on meat seemed to be on, especially when plant-based alternatives for meat was found. It seemed like now was the time to really launch their attack on the meat eaters, with plant-based meat makers saying that their meat could taste just as good as regular meat. There was a host of celebrities that were pushing the campaign. So we saw people like Kim Kardashian, for example. And in the UK, 9% of adults describe themselves as vegan or vegetarian, according to a 2021 UK Gov survey, which shows the growing popularity of veganism in the UK.
Do you identify as broccoli? Or?
I am Mr. Broccoli, yes. Yes, that's right, please.
Do you have another name or not?
No, Mr. Broccoli is
That's
me,
it.
yeah.
You don't go about your daily business as a piece of broccoli?
I've always been a piece of broccoli.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Right. So do you have a job?
I just grow.
2021 saw a record number of people, over 500,000, sign up to participate in Veganuary, an annual campaign which encourages consumers from over 200 countries to adopt a vegan lifestyle throughout January. But despite all this, it seems like things have taken a turn for the worse. We've seen vegan restaurants closing en masse, and now the unthinkable has happened. Vegan restaurants, in a bid to try and survive, have started to sell meat in their restaurants. The vegan war on meat started off so well, but after a short period of time, it seems to be all going wrong. There are 4 unique problems that are threatening to undo the market and take out a lot of the good work that was done before. The first problem we'll look at is, does the vegan meat taste as good as the real thing? Now, for vegan meat to be a good substitute for actual meat, one of the major things it had to do was to be able to match it on taste. Now, in terms of looks, it certainly looked alike, but how did it do on taste?
I'm really sorry if you're a beef farmer, but if this tastes like a burger, that's troubling news. Which tastes different. Right, this isn't a burger. That's beef. This is psycho beef. That's my view.
So it seems to be mixed. Some seems to say it tastes good, but different. A lot of people said it tasted strange or it tasted different. Definitely not meat. It might look like meat. It might sizzle like meat. Does it taste like meat? That's where it fell down. It didn't quite taste like meat. The scientists did do very well. They discovered something called hemoglobin, which is found in meat, which gives it its taste, but they haven't quite been able to match it as well. The other thing a lot of people were saying that is very highly processed.
But some food writers point out, after years of interest in things like Beyond Beef or the Impossible Burger, interest in those items has faded, mainly because those aren't always perceived as healthier alternatives to meat.
And there's concerns about, usually it contains things like soy and sometimes things like pea protein, but a lot of it is highly processed. It's not found naturally. So that's definitely one of the criticisms that comes with the meat. The second reason is the customer. Now, when it comes to Veganuary, so that's normally like an event that takes place in January. So contrary to popular belief, so when a study was done in 2020 and 2017, it was found that the top reason for joining Veganuary wasn't actually to do with the climate or animal welfare. A lot of it was to do with January diets.
Excuse me, isn't there anything here that doesn't have meat in it?
Possibly the meatloaf.
Well, I believe you're required to provide a vegetarian alternative.
Yum. It's rich in bunly goodness.
Do you remember when you lost your passion for this work?
Uh-oh. 2 independent thought alarms in one day.
So what tends to happen is over Christmas, people tend to eat a lot. So over Veganuary was an opportunity to lose some of that Christmas excess. So although it's not one of the priorities, it did still play an important supplementary role. So although animal welfare and environmental reasons wasn't the top priority, it still did represent an important supplementary role. Due to habit, a lot of customers also tended to drop off after a period of time, falling back to old ways. Diets in general are difficult for some people to last through anyway. Through habit, general just abundance of what's around, it was certainly much more easier to be eating meat, but certainly big strides have been taken to be able to provide more vegan options, as we'll discuss later on. Certainly at the time, there was a lot of demand for vegan food. There was not a lot of places at the time that did, so around 2020, around that period of time, that gave vegan food. So people often struggled to find food, but I thought over time, more and more places started to provide vegan and vegetable options. The third reason, if you can't beat them, join them. So the big boys, the competition, places like Nando's, Pizza Express, McDonald's, Wagamama, they didn't take it lying down. They didn't sit around waiting for meat alternative companies and so on to come over to their patch and take over. They were having none of it.
Tommy, over here, I railed against vegan sausage rolls. I didn't like the way they appropriated the language of meat products. I don't think vegan companies should be allowed to use words like sausage rolls or steaks, because that's meat.
It was a very quick response from them, and a lot of them created vegan options and vegetarian options. For example, you had the McPlants in McDonald's, and you had lots of other maybe vegetarian pizzas. You had lots of other vegetarian meals in a lot of the popular restaurants. They were very, very quick to respond, and they were not caught napping. If people wanted vegan and vegetarian options, they were able to provide it, but they gave the customer the choice. The fourth reason was the need to take out a mortgage for the vegan food. I jest, but the price was very expensive. You could look at a pack of 2 burgers, and these are plant-based burgers, and you can see the price. And then let's compare that with a meat option of a burger from the same shop. They tend to be twice expensive, and you're getting half of the value from it. So it just didn't make sense from a price perspective.
And meat tastes good. That's why all of these fake meat companies try to make it taste like meat. It never actually comes to fruition because it still tastes like crap. And I would also point out, during COVID, when we were having shortages in the grocery store, if you looked for meat, it was sometimes hard to find, at least here in the US. But that Beyond Meat crap, that was always available because people don't want it. The consumers are deciding that they want maybe an organic option, maybe a free range option, but people still want to eat meat. And you can eat meat and respect animals at the same time.
The other thing as well that didn't really work for it was the cost of living crisis as well. With customers feeling a pinch to their pockets, they tend to pick more affordable options. And this price differential also relates back to the restaurants too. So with the prices for vegan restaurants really going quite expensive, so the vegan customers themselves stopped going to the vegan restaurants. So the vegan restaurants started to struggle. And I think, just in general with the cost of living crisis, a lot of people decided to eat from home or find other ways to save money. So unfortunately, as a result, the vegan restaurants really struggled, and we've seen a lot of them start to close. So much so that some vegan restaurants have had to take the decision, in order to survive, to offer meat on the menu.
SF Gate reporting about vegan restaurant closures in LA and some that are actually adding meat back to the menu. It is all in an effort to appeal to a larger audience.
At least that way it gives people the choice. If they want to eat meat, they can eat meat. If they want to eat a vegan or vegetarian option, they have that choice too. So putting that choice in the hands of the customer. The war on meat has been an interesting one. And moreover, when you go to a lot of supermarkets, you'll see a really, really massive display when it comes to meat, and the plant and vegan option tends to be very, very small, maybe 1 bay compared to maybe 4 or 5 plus for meat. So meat certainly remains as the most popular.
But we are beyond meat now. We're going back to munching meat. I love meat. I won't be persuaded otherwise. And I think there are better tactics than running into restaurants and playing noises of screaming animals, personally.
So that's the 4 reasons why vegans are currently losing the war on meat. If you like the video, smash the like button and subscribe for more. Bye.